I moved to Jacksonville because I thought it would be peaceful. People who live there might laugh at that idea, but peace is relative. I'd spent several years living in crowded places with loud neighbors and endless traffic. Jacksonville felt slower to me. I rented a small house on the north side of the city. It was older but clean, with yellow siding, wide windows, and a massive oak tree covered in hanging Spanish moss. At night, the moss moved in the wind and made the yard feel older than it really was. I worked from home and did not know many people, so I settled into routines. During the week, I worked, cooked dinner, and watched TV. On weekends, I drove around Florida with no real destination. Sometimes I ended up at the beach, sometimes I picked a highway and just followed it. One Friday morning, I woke up and decided I wanted to see Key West. It was ridiculous. Jacksonville to Key West is not a short drive. It's the kind of trip most people plan in advance. But I packed a bag, bought gas station coffee, and left. By late afternoon, I had arrived in Key West and started walking around. Eventually, I ended up at Fort East Martello Museum. I already knew why I wanted to visit. It was for Robert the doll. I had heard stories. People said the doll was haunted or cursed. People claimed that if you laughed at him, took pictures without permission, or disrespected him, strange things happened afterwards. Some people claimed they had nightmares. Others blamed incidents, illnesses, or bad luck on the doll itself. People even mailed apology letters to Robert. I thought it was fun folklore, nothing more. Inside the museum, Robert sat in his display case. He looked old. His sailor outfit was faded. His face was worn. His eyes looked strangely focused, even though they were only buttons. Tourists gathered quietly. One museum employee said the same thing to each group. If you want to take a picture, ask Robert politely first. People smiled. Some people asked permission. I thought it was part of the experience. When my turn came, I stood in front of the glass. I laughed and quietly said, "Robert, can I take your picture?" Then I added, "Please do not curse me." I snapped a photo, and then another. Before leaving, I gave a sarcastic thumbs up and said, "Thanks, Robert." Nothing happened. I drove back to Jacksonville the next day. For about a week, life stayed normal. Then I had a dream. I was back in the museum. People crowded around Robert's display case. Everyone looked excited. I walked over. The display was empty. I asked people where the doll was. No one answered. Then I looked down. Robert was standing beside my leg. The dream ended immediately. The second night I dreamed about the museum again. This time in the room stared directly at me. Well, everyone in the room stared directly at me. Nobody spoke except one woman. She leaned forward close and whispered, "He followed you." I woke up with my heart pounding. I told myself it was because I had been reading ghost stories. That explanation worked until my phone started acting strangely. Apps opened by themselves. Pictures appeared enlarged. Once I unlocked my screen and found my photo of Robert was already open. I stared at it. Something looked off about the photo. His head seemed tilted differently. I convinced myself I was imagining it. I deleted the picture, and the next morning it was back. Not in the recently deleted, but in my camera roll. Exactly where it had been before. That really bothered me. So I zoomed in. Then I noticed something in the reflection of this display case. Someone was standing behind me. I remembered the room. No one was behind me. I deleted the photo again. That night I woke up to knocking. 3 slow knocks. I sat up and listened. silence, and then 3 more slow knocks. The sound came from inside the house. I walked into the hallway, except everything looked normal. Then I noticed my office chair had been moved. It now faced directly towards my bedroom. I lived alone. I hadn't moved it there. So I moved it back. The next morning, it faced my room again. I didn't know what to think. I started jumping at shadows. I started thinking I was seeing things. Places where I had left things were not in the places where I had left them. And I started to sleep with the lights on. I stopped watching horror movies. I stopped reading ghost stories. I tried to ignore all things of the paranormal realm. Then I had another dream. This time I was outside my Jacksonville house. The street was completely empty. I looked towards my front yard. Something sat under the oak tree, a small figure in white. I walked closer. It was sitting in a chair. It looked up at me. It was Robert the doll. Only he was smiling. I woke up immediately. Sunlight came through the window. I tried to calm myself. Then I looked outside. My porch chair had been moved. It faced directly towards my door, as if someone was watching me sleep. I never used that chair. I called my friend Ethan and asked him to come over. I did not tell him the full story. I just said I had been stressed. He stayed late. Around midnight, he stopped talking. He looked towards the hallway. Then he asked, "Why do you have a doll sitting there?" I looked. Nothing was there. I asked him what he meant. His face changed. He stared at me and said quietly, "Never mind." He left soon after. He stopped answering my texts. That was enough for me. I emailed the museum. I asked whether people really mailed apology letters. The reply came the next day. It said, "Yes, sir. Visitors sometimes believe apologizing improves their situation." That was all. I stared at the email. Then I laughed. I was going to apologize to a doll. That night I woke up at exactly 3:17 a.m. The power was out. The room was completely dark. Then I heard breathing, very slow breathing, inside my room. I turned on my flashlight. The beam landed on the chair in the corner. Something was sitting there. Something small, wearing white. Not like Robert the doll exactly, but close enough. The face looked too human, its head tilted slowly. Then it raised one arm and pointed towards my hallway. The power returned, and the chair was empty. The next morning I packed my things. I moved into an apartment. Nothing happened for months. No bad dreams, no footsteps, no strange photos. Then one evening I was cleaning old pictures. I found my Key West folder. I opened the Robert photo. My stomach dropped. The display case was empty. Robert was gone. But reflected in the glass standing behind me was a small figure wearing white. Its head tilted. Looking straight at the camera, I deleted the photo. A few seconds later, my phone vibrated. A notification appeared. No sender, no number. Only 3 letters of the text message appeared. You never asked.